MLB 23 is so close to being here that I can taste it. I decided to hop onto the tech test, go into settings, and show you guys the best gameplay settings heading into this year's game so that you can get started on the right foot. Okay, so go over to settings, go to gameplay, and then click RB or whatever, R1 if you're on the PlayStation. Okay, go to control and under offense. This is where we're going to get started. Base running interface is set to analog select. This is so that I can control my base runners with the buttons. Okay, swing input is set to buttons as well, and then hitting interface is zone instead of directional. I promise you guys, zone is better than directional. I will go into detail on this in my hitting tips video, but zone is the meta. It is what a majority, if not all, of the talented players in MLB The Show use. PCI anchor, this is more of a personal preference where you want to leave your plate coverage indicator before the pitch comes in. I personally leave it off because I like to start my PCI in the middle and move it around pre-pitch. I will show you guys what the PCI anchor looks like when it's on versus when it's off. If I click my left stick, I can place my PCI in the top right corner, and now with my hand off the controller, I can leave my PCI there pre-pitch. With my PCI anchored here with a lefty, I don't need to move as far to get to that inside pitch, but I do need to move a lot further to get to that away pitch. So for me, I personally leave anchor off. And then my plate coverage indicator, also known as a PCI, this is personal preference, but there are definitely PCIs that are nicer, that are more pleasing to the eye, that help you focus on the baseball a little bit more. I will go into more detail on the different and best PCIs to use in my hitting tips video as well, but I will show you my personal favorite right here. So I use PCI center diamonds, PCI inner none, PCI outer reverb, PCI color is black with 80% transparency. And I have the fade out as none. Okay, I'm like a golden retriever, all right? I lose focus at the snap of a finger. So I have a very transparent, light colored PCI that is not distracting to me and helps me focus on the baseball. Guest pitch set to off, doesn't affect online play. And then vibration, I don't like when my controller's vibrating when I'm in the middle of hitting or pitching, so I turn it off. Okay, under defense, pitching interface is set to pinpoint. This is the most accurate way to pitch in MLB The Show 23. I believe it was introduced in MLB 21 for the first time. I will also be releasing a pitching tips video on how to master pinpoint. But pinpoint is far and away the best method, and I highly recommend practicing it and using it in this year's game. Pitching ball marker, I set it pitch trail so that it doesn't fade away when I'm placing the location of the pitch. Throwing interface, I have it set to button accuracy so that I can make accurate throws with my own input. I don't leave it up to the CPU, no RNG involved. It is just based on my stick skills. Accuracy chevrons, I just leave those set to on, and throw canceling I set to on as well. A lot of people leave this off, but I recommend turning it on because it helps when getting in a pickle, when getting in a rundown. You don't want a player to try and deke you out and then you can't cancel your throw and you end up throwing to the wrong base. I've done it before even with throw canceling on, but trust me, throw canceling on will help you be a little bit better in the field. Catch position indicator, this is personal preference. You have drifting ball, off, and track ball. Drifting ball works the best for me because you get this big baseball in the field that shrinks as the ball is about to land, so you know exactly where to stand. Dive jump I have set to 2 button. Under camera, I have my hitting view and pitching view both set to strike zone. Strike zone is the best hitting view in my opinion. I will go into detail on that in my hitting tips video, but it just gives me the best view to read the pitch out of the pitcher's hand. And because I like to be looking at the same camera angle, I leave my pitching view at strike zone as well. I feel that for me personally, it helps me focus when I'm hitting more if I'm just looking at the same angle the entire game. In play view offense, this is personal preference, so you could tweak with these. I leave it at medium, which I believe is the default. and then vertical camera movement and horizontal camera movement I leave at standard. For beginners, you might want to leave fielding aids on, but under display, I turn it off. I've been playing the game for a few years now, and I don't need any suggestions for fielding, but there are definitely instances that this may help you out. I'm gonna skip most of these display options because some of them don't affect online play, or I just leave them at default, such as strike zone, hot zones, and pitching info. I've set those to default settings. For confidence energy bars, I leave this on because you want to know if your pitcher is confident or his energy is low, because then you might need to take him out. And it's important to know if the other pitcher's energy is low, because if they're in the yellow, they start to miss spots when they're pitching, and it becomes a bit easier to hit. And when confidence is low as well, it affects the pitcher drastically, and you can take advantage of your opponent's pitcher if his energy and confidence is low. Pitch feedback I leave on so that I can see where I missed or what I did incorrectly to miss my spot. Batter controls display set to minimal. Swing feedback on so that I could see my PCI placement after each swing. Off the wall ribbon, I leave this off because it auto locks you into position anyway if you run in the right direction. Base running diamond on. I love seeing where my players are running. I don't want to make any more base running mistakes than I made last year, okay? Player name, I personally just like to see my own player's name in the field. And then, of course, I leave the scoreboard on because I want to see the score of the game. That does it for the gameplay settings. I will be releasing a video on hitting tips and pitching tips, as well as the best way to get started in Diamond Dynasty for this year's game. I hope you guys enjoyed these videos. Let me know in the comments if you're going to rock these settings, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace!